It is year number 1 in the Steve Sarkisian era. No, not at Texas, but for Texas in the SEC.
It means more.
It just means more, and oh my goodness, are we hearing it already from the Texas fans before the season has already started? Long before the season has already started, they're going to win it all, John Rivers. Texas, I mean,
That's the word.
that's just they're going to come in here and they're going to dominate. They're going to win every game. They're going to win the conference championship to start us off. And you know what? They very well might do it. The Texas Longhorns, they got a good team coming into 2024.
What only thing that concerns me about Texas is the injuries already happening to the team. That's the only thing concerning. But you know what? Archie Manning's NIL money can just save them.
Yeah, I mean, all he has to do is just sell a few of his pubic hairs, and
he's just a Manning.
I mean, that's more than the oil money that comes in, right?
So, I mean, come on, he's a Manning. I mean, he's like, I wouldn't say he's like above me, but he is.
he's just better than you. I mean, straight up. I mean, me too. I mean, when you come with that last name, it is what it is. So let's talk Texas Longhorns 2024. Let's start off with them going into the SEC. We'll get into the roster a little bit. You mentioned some of the injuries, particularly at running back. But do you think that Texas is coming in hot in the SEC? How much of a chance do you give them to win the thing? Do you think that they'll do well in year one? Obviously, we think they're going to do better than Oklahoma because we already previewed Oklahoma. But what do you think?
I truly think that they can be in the SEC championship. I really think that. I think it's SEC championship bust. I think it's kind of crazy to think out of the 4 division or like 4 Power 4 winners, you could have 4 champions that are not from that conference. You could have Oregon, Utah, and Texas win the 3 out of the 4. When you think about it.
Wow.
I mean,
and who knows? Maybe SMU looked pretty bad against Nevada Saturday, but who knows? Maybe SMU pulls something.
Nevada's a little cocky right now until they meet the Trojans from Troy, Alabama, baby. You don't want to come to Veterans Stadium. You just don't. It's different in Veterans Stadium.
They love I love my God, my country, my family, and my Troy Trojans.
I'm just telling you, after they get that ass whooped, they can head on down to Bomb House right down the street and get them a little bite to eat. I've been there a couple times. It'll smooth the burn. It'll smooth the scabs over after we beat their ass. Go Trojans, baby!
What a ridiculous statement. We're Jags all the way, south in your mouth, baby. But let's get back to the point. All right, so Texas Longhorns. You come into the SEC in 2024 and you'll lose a good bit of guys. You lose Adonai Mitchell to the NFL. You lose Xavier Worthy to the NFL. 2 great wide receivers. 2 of your running backs go down. C.J. Baxter in the second string. I forgot his name. C.J. Baxter was supposed to be like one of the best running backs coming into the season. And so you're
Brooks.
Yeah. And here you are. You've replaced a few guys out of the portal. You get Isaiah Bond from Alabama, trader. You get Amari Niblack from Alabama, trader.
I'm going to spend time on Lamborghini Bond.
Lamborghini Bond, that's right. But and then you have, of course, Quinn Ewers, who I think is a fantastic quarterback for Texas.
I truly think Ewers. Not saying this, he's the best NFL prospect quarterback in the league. I'm not saying that. I think he's the best college quarterback in college right now.
I would agree with that. I think he's an overall more of a playmaker than Carson Beck. I think it comes down to like the 2 best quarterbacks in college football. It's probably between Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers. I would say I like Quinn Ewers better than Carson Beck. Oh my God! Eyes on my wrist, stay shining. I'm on my AP. Ain't lying.
Shadur, get down the damn field. Boise State just scored again.
But I really like Quinn Ewers as quarterback. I'm gonna be honest with you, as an Alabama fan, I do think in 2022, had he not gotten hurt, Texas probably would have won that game.
Yes, they were slicing us up and down the field.
Yeah. So are you Texas fans watching?
They wouldn't have beat us if Colt wasn't injured, though.
Hell no. Marcel Darius had that game won from the start.
He did. He whooped that boy's ass.
That's right. Hell, that's just the game. I mean,
It's just
Dallas
part of
Turner
the game.
goes and takes Jaden Daniels down last year against LSU. I mean, that's just football.
Ain't our fault that Carson Gilbert can't throw for shit.
That's right. So,
what you gonna do when you see Mount Cody coming toward you? You gonna? I mean,
oh, those were the days, man. Those were the days. But
we ain't got always like that. But Texas, man, Texas. When they announced that Texas is coming to the SEC, I was very excited about this because do you realize on how I'm sure you do how big this is for the SEC?
Oh, trust me, I've known this for a while. This is I'm really interested in Texas's schedule because we're gonna get to it here in a minute. There are some really, really, really interesting matchups that we're gonna see from Texas, and it doesn't just include SEC games. We got one that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Let's just go ahead and take a look at it here. So, here we are, Texas schedule, and I, of course, have a fly in my room. So, you start off Colorado State. I think that's a win. But you got what is probably the
we
biggest.
Didn't put it down, but that's a maybe game.
It's most definitely a maybe game.
It's at Michigan, right?
I think it's probably the biggest non-conference game of the year. For anybody, who would be bigger?
Who was I thinking of? Dang, there's another
one. There's a few. I mean, Alabama, Wisconsin, but I think this is the biggest one, and it is at the Big House in Michigan. So I do think that Texas wins it in a close one myself, but who knows, man? I mean,
is this one bigger than Clemson, Georgia? Because you got to think Michigan.
I think so. I don't really have too much. I'm not riding too hard on Clemson to do anything to Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Dabo's kind of still on a downward slope, but that would probably be the second biggest, I would assume, or maybe Texas A&M, Notre Dame, who knows. And then, hey, don't sleep on my UTSA Roadrunners. Jeff Traylor.
That's a tough one.
They were looked at. They were almost going to hire him, Jeff Traylor.
What about ULM? Who is that? Is that Brian Vincent from UAB?
I think so. I think he is still there. But Texas A&M almost got old Jeff Traylor. Mississippi State, that's a wash. Now, you didn't tell me about this one here. I think
Oklahoma.
I predicted earlier in our Oklahoma predictions a few weeks ago, predicted Texas would win that game. I've changed my mind. Oklahoma's dominated that rivalry for the past 10, 15 years.
It's been good. The last 3 games I remember it's come down to the wire every time.
It's been a literal shootout.
I'm very excited to see how it goes this year. I do think Texas is going to whoop Oklahoma's ass. I'm just telling I'm not big on Oklahoma whatsoever this year. I don't understand why everybody rides Brent Venables' ass so much. I think he's a terrible coach. I don't think he's going to be any. It was I'm not here to talk about Oklahoma, but he was 6-6 without Jeff Lebby, and then he went off with Jeff Lebby, and then Jeff Lebby left. So we'll see how that sticks. But bookmark that. I'm just telling you, I don't think they're going to be worth a damn. But I think Texas will whoop Oklahoma. But the game, I definitely think they're going to lose. But they might get a rematch. It's going to be a rematch game. I think it's going to be Georgia-Texas rematch, possibly.
Ooh, and Georgia-Texas rematch in the SEC Championship. I kind of like that. And if that's the case, I might take Texas on that in a rematch. I just might.
That's what I'm saying. I think because the first game, is it in Athens?
First game, no, that's in Austin.
I don't know.
I still think Georgia wins it though.
I do too.
I do think look, I don't think that Texas is going to come in here and just dominate right away. I think they're going to do really good, but I think that their ceiling is a 10-2 regular season. I really do think it is. I think you lose to Georgia, and I think you lose at least one more, whether that be to Oklahoma, whether it's to Michigan or A&M. I think A&M, you've got Texas likely or possibly losing to A&M. Same with myself. That game's at A&M. It's a renewed rivalry. It's going to be a lot of energy on A&M's part.
It depends on what team comes to play for A&M. Because we're at the last game of the season. If this is a 7-5 team, or if this is a let's spoil the season for somebody. You know what I mean? Because you don't
Absolutely.
know what A&M's going to be at that spot so far in the season.
With some of A&M's expectations, and we're kind of high on A&M. Even in year one under Mike Elko, that could be like a playoff deciding game. Who knows?
No,
I mean, it could be
yeah,
massive. But I want to step away from the schedule real quickly because I do want to talk about Steve Sarkisian because we haven't talked about him yet so far. He's entering year 4 now, and do you think Steve Sarkisian is a good head coach? I do think that he is a good head coach. He's had success pretty much everywhere he's been, but
I mean,
last year was the first 10 win season he's ever had.
you just got to keep the beer out of his hand.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you just got to keep the beer out of his hand, and he's a good coach. I think you just got to make sure he's not drinking.
I just wonder, he's done well in some big games. Obviously, he won, against Alabama and Tuscaloosa last season. But it came down. He could not beat Washington. Everybody thought Washington was going to lose that game.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought Washington was going to get whooped.
I did too. Granted, I thought Washington was going to lose to Oregon. I thought they lose to Oregon again. I thought they lose to Texas.
I know we was so big on Oregon last year. I'm still big on
Oregon. And Washington proved them wrong every single time. Us wrong, and now we got their head coach. So I'll take it.
And I got their quarterback now. I mean,
there you go. Yeah, hey, rise up. So. All right, let me ask you this: what should the expectation be for, or what will be a disappointment for Texas?
They don't make the SEC championship. They don't make the playoffs, of course.
Do you think? All right, let's say they make the playoffs. What is the expectation when they're in the playoffs? Is it national championship? Should you be upset if you do not make
national? Yes, you're Texas. You need national championship.
I agree. At this point.
You are up there with the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Bamas, the LSUs, the Notre Dames. I mean, you expect national championship.
Yeah, I agree. And it's been since 2009 since you've been in that position, and it's going to just be harder to do so. I mean, you got to play more games now in a 12-team playoff. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that Texas will do well.
You got to think they need it bad. I'm telling you why. Little brother TCU, yeah, they got curb stomped by Georgia, but they've been in the national championship.
Yeah, they have. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Texas is coming in here. Texas, we've talked about this before. When Texas A&M was still back in the Big 12, they were, bending at the knees to Texas for their entire time. Texas is coming in here, and Texas A&M has 11 years on their asses.
Yeah.
They are SEC. They have been in the SEC. So if I'm just saying this for Texas A&M, you can't bend in the knee to Texas. Texas A&M, you gotta beat Texas. If Mike Elko beats Texas in year 1 at Texas A&M in the first game back in that rivalry at Texas A&M,
it'll be on the equivalent of like when Brian Kelly beat Nick Saban.
I think it'd probably be bigger than that, but yeah, you're right. But guys, I think that does it for our Texas Longhorns 2024 preview. Let us know what you think about Texas. How you think they're going to do? What do you think about Quinn Ewers? What do you think about the running back situation? Because it is not good. They lose 2 big guys. So drop it down in the comment box. Like, subscribe, share with all your friends. Let us know
how
you're
doing. Who you think is the greatest Texas football player of all time? Personally, I think it's Uncle
Rico. Greatest Texas football player of all time.
Just so many.
There is a lot. That's like asking greatest Alabama player.
But I feel like there is more older players and like players that played in the 60s and 70s Texas
back in the wishbone days.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Ricky Williams.
Ricky smoke weed every day.
All right, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit us up on Twitter, follow us on all of our social medias, Instagram, TikTok. We'll post back on there one day. Who knows? And hit them with it, John Rivers.
You stay classy.
Stay classy.